everybody? Welcome to Capital of Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to recap this past Saturday's PBC on Fox, which had Vasquez-Martinez and Dominic Brezeale. We had Sammy Vasquez against Aaron Martinez. And in the main event, we had Danny Garcia versus Garcia-Guerrero for the vacant WBC title. We're going to start from the bottom to the top, work our way up to Garcia and Guerrero. So we're going to start with Mansour and Brezeale. Take it away, Rob.
All right, so what we said is this was going to be an extremely difficult fight for Brezeale because he hasn't seen a guy with this type of actual physical attributes, as well as that kind of experience. And Brezeale is, if nothing else, just been unimpressive to say the least. Especially with 16 fights with 14 KOs going in.
And Olympic.
And Olympic pedigree. And yeah, still feel the same way. This is a fight that he was losing. And he was knocked down by
hard.
Yeah, he went down. He did the smart thing and tied up.
Yeah.
To gain his bearings, but Mansour was getting to him with those wide shots and encroaching into space. And for a guy that's about 6'7", 6'8", he should really have a much better jab than he does. And he does not snap his jab out. It just kind of puts it out there. And he was landing some hooks and uppercuts with Mansour coming in, which had no effect. And those maybe 2 to 3, 4 punches that he might have hit Mansour with was all negated by one punch when Mansour landed.
Yeah.
Now, it was a TKO, retired, however you want to say it, in the 5th round.
Yes, into the 5th round.
Well, everyone thought Mansour had a broken jaw, but that's not why he retired on the stool, because knowing Mansour, he's going to keep fighting.
Yeah, I think the doctor actually stopped the fight when they checked on him.
Well, but it wasn't because of the broken jaw.
What was it? Let him know.
He got caught with an uppercut, and I want to say in the 3rd round, with his mouth open. And what happened is when he did that, his tongue was between the mouth guard and the bottom row of his teeth. And it pretty much bit down on it to where almost immediately you could see the blood spewing from his mouth. And he said himself that his tongue was swelling up and he had a hard time breathing. He was just swallowing his own blood, which is, we know blood is thick. It's hard to breathe, especially with your tongue being in your mouth. With the mouth guard, it's going to be even harder to breathe. So when the doctor took a look at it, saw it, was like, we have to wave this off because you're not going to be able to continue. And Brezeale got the TKO win, even though it was wholly undeserved, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he took advantage of Mansour breaking a cardinal rule, which is do not leave your mouth open. You should be taught that very early in your boxing career. And every now and then you have to open your mouth for certain things. But when you're in punching range, you want to make sure your mouth is closed. And I think he thought that there was not going to be any return fire coming. When he did, he was trying to get out of range when Brezeale threw the uppercut, and it happened to connect. It was actually like it wasn't a very accurate punch, but it landed in the right spot, and it did the damage that it was supposed to do. Now, credit Brezeale for throwing the shot. I wouldn't say he got lucky, but luck was on his side because that fight was not going his way at all.
And he probably
everything Rob said is completely accurate. It was bad.
And he probably wasn't going to make it. What was it, a 10-round fight?
Yeah, he was probably going to be stopped. He was getting slower. Credit, he was starting to land a little bit more on Mansour, but like Rob said, none of those punches looked like they were affecting him at all, and everything was looking like it was affecting Brezeale. All Mansour needed to do was get one more punch on the sweet spot, and it would have been over. But all of that is moot, because the one effective punch he did land was enough to get the fight stopped. And sometimes that's all you need. Move on to the second fight of the night, which was Sammy Vasquez versus Aaron Martinez. And in this one, we talked about Martinez having to set the range, set the pace, and keep Martinez from crowding him and getting him on the ropes, which he did very effectively, so much so that he had Martinez backing up most of the fight. It was a very good performance from Martinez. He ended up getting the stoppage after the 6th round, I believe. I can't remember why they stopped.
That was an elbow injury, I believe.
Elbow injury, yes. But up to that point, it was all Vasquez. He was very sharp. His defense was very good. I like what I see from this guy, and I want to see more. I want to see him step up and face some better guys, more name guys. Martinez probably was the best person he had fought so far.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that train going. Let's see how high the ceiling is for Sammy Vasquez. You got anything?
Yeah, Sammy Vasquez came out and did exactly what he was supposed to do. He fought a guy who very well should have gotten the win versus Robert Guerrero. He beat Devin Alexander. He was a tough opponent. No real fear of knocking him out because he doesn't have a lot of knockouts, but he's a guy who can definitely push you as an opponent in crowd space and make you look really bad in winning. Sammy Vasquez had none of that, established his range. His range was very patient with his shots and was very accurate. And it was a good showing. At this point, it's time for him to step up into, I think Martinez was still in the top 15 because of the quality wins and showings. But to really get into some names, maybe some guys around his level, because he's now gone from prospect to contender at this point.
Yeah. So excited to see what comes up next for him. Let's talk about the main event. Now, we have Danny Garcia and Robert Guerrero fighting for one of the titles that Mayweather vacated, the WBC crown. This was Guerrero's 3rd attempt. He won. I think he beat. No, he didn't win the title.
No.
He won the interim title when he beat Berto and lost to Mayweather. Then he lost the title match to Thurman. So this was attempt number 3 against Danny Garcia. And early on, I'd say he looked pretty good. He crowded Garcia, landed some hard punches. He really had Danny looking very uncomfortable throughout the first 3 to 4 rounds. And then Danny Garcia adjusted. He began to use his feet more. He began to use his right hand a lot more instead of just head hunting with the left hook. And started using his jab a little bit more as well. And with Guerrero just walking straight in, he wasn't using any angles, he wasn't using any feints. He was just charging forward and being a bull. And Danny Garcia turned into a matador. And later, as the fight drew on, it got a lot easier for him. What you got?
Yeah, in those late rounds, it looked like Guerrero started boxing less and started trying to walk down on Danny, especially when he was getting hit with those right hands. He would try to answer as soon as he got hit. And he really doesn't have really good hand speed, really good foot speed, but he does have some boxing ability. But as he tired, you can see that boxing ability go away.
Yeah, you get fatigued after a while, especially having to chase down a guy when you don't have the ability to cut off a ring and you're walking into punches.
Right.
That'll tire you out really fast. Let that be a lesson to you, fight fans. Also, Danny, his defense looked a little better, I should say. For a while, I was thinking that he really wasn't improving that much, but I think he looked pretty good in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was matchmaking. Maybe he is improving. We'll have to see him in there with some of the other bigger welterweights to really be sure. Which brings me to my next point, which is kind of concerning, that he never looked like he hurt Robert Guerrero in this fight. He unloaded on him with some big punches, and it never looked like it fazed Guerrero. Unlike when you had him fighting Thurman, and when Thurman was landing, you could see that Robert Guerrero was like, this guy hits hard. And going forward for Garcia, he's in the territory to fight the Thurmans and the Porters of the division, the Kell Brooks. And if he can't hurt a smaller welterweight in Robert Guerrero, he may be in for some trouble when he fights those bigger names.
And let's point out another thing. Danny Garcia had very subtle but very good body work to take the legs from Robert Guerrero.
Yes.
Even though he was coming forward, those body shots, and again, they were very subtle, right around the elbows, and you really saw that it was slowing him down and kind of taking him off his spot, off his balance and off his spot at points.
Yeah, so that was one of the adjustments he made. Instead of throwing the left hook to the head a lot, he started throwing it to the body.
But you are right. You got to see how he's going to do with those full-blown, full-size welterweights. Now, what do we know? Well, apparently, Danny Garcia will have to fight Amir Khan before or by June 21st.
Which may or may not happen. We know how boxing is.
It's the WBC. We'll have to see what they do, but that's the order. Amir Khan was in line for the WBC belt for the winner of these two fights.
And the interesting thing about it is Danny Garcia already knocked out Amir Khan, but he was losing that fight up to the point of the knockout.
That's right.
Amir Khan had faster hands. He had more snap. He was actually moving better. But he got baited into a trap, taken out.
And we know that could mean a psychological advantage for Danny.
Yes. Also, since then, Amir Khan has changed trainers and has looked a little better since then. Not a lot better, just a little bit. That, like Rob said, could also be a psychological advantage. You can say, hey, you beat me when I was with Freddie. I was ignoring my defense. Now with Virgil Hunter, I'm a little more defensive cognizant. Maybe you don't catch me with that shot this time.
But we'll talk more about that
if it gets made.
Exactly.
You got anything else you got?
I have nothing else.
Yes. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video. Share it with your friends. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe. You can hit us up on Facebook, Google+, Instagram, Capital of Combat. You can email us at capitalofcombat@gmail.com. Any thoughts you have, leave them below. Any questions you have, hit us up on any of those platforms. We'll put you in the combat mailbag. Enjoy our latest episodes of the Technical Toolbox, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.